Hey, good people, what's up? What's up? Y'all, I don't have much of a background these days, okay? Just because moving, got a lot going on, but I wanted to jump on here. I wanted to jump on here a little bit earlier than now, but I wanted to jump on here and share some more information about breaking up with cycles and how to break up with them. I am going to be doing a course. This is my first exclusive course. It's not a weekly type situation, but it's a course. It's my first course that I'm going to be doing about facing cycles and patterns. And I did it because a lot of times when I talk to people, and even for myself, I've experienced noticing patterns in behaviors, patterns or cycles in life. Or I had found myself in a situation like, why do I keep going through this? Or why do I keep having experiences like this in friendships? Or why do I keep having experience like this in relationships? Or reoccurring behavior patterns and cycles. And so I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about familiar spirits and making sure that we label them. It's important to not only ask, why are we reenacting situations, or why are we going through some of the same circumstances, and the situation might be with a different person. The situation might be with a different setting, but it's still something familiar that we have been through or reenacted before. And I know that I have dealt with that. And when I talk to people, I might hear them talking and I'm like, this is a pattern. Like, it may be different, but it's kind of still the same. Sometimes we don't realize some of our patterns, or we don't label them correctly, or we just notice, okay, this keeps happening, or I've been here before, or I've dealt with this before, but I don't know why. Or I really don't know what it is, but I have been through this situation with this person, or with this job, or being late, or being in the same situation, dealing with some of the same frustrations, and they continue to occur. And a lot of times we'll notice the symptoms of them, we'll notice the situations that we're dealing with, but we don't label what it is. So on August 7th, that is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about taking responsibility. I know in my past, when things started to go south, I could blame it on people. I could blame my attitude. Well, I act this way because of such and such. Versus saying, okay, when you get in this situation, you feel the pressure. This is what you take to. This is the attitude that you take on. This is the behavior patterns you take on. Versus blaming it on someone else. It takes maturity for us to look at ourselves and recognize behavior cycles, recognize familiar spirits that we deal with. And so we're going to talk about that, about not blaming, but looking at our approach. How should we approach these cycles? How should we approach these patterns? And it takes brave work. It takes deliberate work for us to see a situation that continues to arise, and we decide, okay, I want to take responsibility. I want to take responsibility of what I'm dealing with, because I know that this is it's hindering me from being most as successful as I could be, or this is hindering me from being effective. And so it takes deliberate work, it takes intentionality for us to not just say, hey, why do I keep going through this? Or why do I keep having this situation? Or why does this keep occurring in my life? And I want to deal with it. And it's not something that happens overnight. When we decide that we want to work on ourselves, it's process. I always talk about process. The first step is being self-aware, and noticing what we're dealing with, and taking responsibility, not as, blaming ourselves, but being like, okay, I want to deal with this. I want to deal with what I'm going through. I don't want to blame it on anybody else. I want to take responsibility. Taking responsibility is maturity. That's growth. That's growing. Because I believe that God, He wants to help us. He does want to help us. He has good plans for our lives. And as He has good plans for our lives, some of it means we take on the maturity to actually deal with our stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it because we all go through things. We all go through things. And, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. We're not wrestling against people. We're not wrestling against institutions. But the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against the rulers and against the authorities and against the dark world and the spiritual forces. So this is a spiritual. This is spiritual. This ain't personal. This is spiritual. And I think sometimes we take this on, but we have an enemy that wants to destroy us. So if he can keep us in a cycle, if he can keep us in a pattern, or my mama used to be like that because my mama used to be like that, that's how I am, versus saying, okay, it stops with me. This situation is going to stop with me. I'm going to do what is necessary. I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to fight this fight of faith because I know I have my issues. I know me. I deal with my stuff. Listen, this is not a perfect person talking to you, but this is a person that has looked at themselves and noticed things and said, okay, it's time for me to take responsibility. And so because I talk to people and, I do life with different people, I always hear this reoccurring thing about us dealing with patterns, dealing with cycles. And so I think it's important that we address that, and that God has a lot to say about that. God dealt with people, not God, but Jesus. He dealt with people that had a lot of the same reoccurring situations: lack of faith, unbelief, disbelief, blasphemy. He dealt with people that had dealt with the same reoccurring situations. They were just different people. They were just different people, different situations. So the Lord, he's familiar. He's familiar. Hey, girl. He's familiar with reoccurring cycles. It's not something that he has not dealt with us. And I'm just grateful that he's loving and he's kind and he's patient with us. And he doesn't make us feel bad for what we go through and what we deal with, but he helps us. He wants us to get to the root of it, to see where it originates from. So this class that I'm going to be doing August 7th, is going to be in the morning. I have a couple people asking me when it is going to be in the morning. It is virtual. I'm not ready for face-to-face yet. Maybe in the future, but right now this is going to be a virtual class. But we're going to talk about some applicable approaches, especially how it deals with prayer, how God deals with us in our cycles and patterns, and how we're going to break up with them. It's time to face them, and it's not something for you to get frustrated with yourself, but it's something that says I want to be better. And I want to overcome some of the situations and cycles that I deal with. And so that's what we're going to be talking about on August 7th. So the registration is in my bio. It's a $59 course. You can register all the way up until August 6th. So, you're trying to figure out something you want to do. Pray on it. Seek the Lord. Seek his faith, what he has to say. But I'm really excited about those that are going to be doing this course. It's a 2-hour intensive. We're going to be getting down to the nitty gritty. We're going to be doing some talking, some teaching, and I think it's going to be really good. And so I just wanted to just kind of clarify what we're talking about when it comes to patterns and cycles. You're speaking to someone that has dealt with patterns and behaviors and behavior patterns and cycles and what they look like. And so that's what we're going to be talking about August 7th. And I would love for you to join me. I would love for you to get on here and, go to the link in my bio. You can register. But that's all I have. I've been saying I was going to go live, and it's almost 10 o'clock. I had to put my baby to bed. And so now I'm here, and I wanted to share that with you guys, what breaking up with cycles and being intentional and what that looks like. And I'm super excited about August 7th. So if you're interested, go to the link in my bio, and you can register. If you have any questions, you can definitely DM me. If you have any questions off the record, definitely you can send me a DM. I hope you guys have an amazing night, good people, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.